new school system is internet content and courses.
Are we taking advantage? Are we learning from the internet? Are we learning from content? Are we investing in ourselves and getting into the courses?
Social media is the new society, then personal brands are the people of that society.
Yo, you can control almost what happens in the world when you think about your personal brand through that lens.
Take one day off of streaming, bro. People like start to go crazy. Like, why are you on vacation? Why are you not streaming? Like, what are you doing?
Do you want to get that famous that you can't take a day off? What's poppin', what's poppin', what's poppin'? Welcome, Nicky and Moose. I'm Nicky. That's Moose. What's up, Moose?
What up, y'all?
And on this episode, we're going to be talking about a brand new AI saying that it could be better than ChatGPT. We're going to talk about it, lessons from Prime Day, how to grow on social media in 2023, how to become a one-person business, and then do you want to be this famous that you can't go on vacation? Let's talk about it. Moose, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I'm thinking the introverts are gonna love this one when you say one person business and one that is making money. Yeah, that sounds like an introvert's dream right there. So I'm excited for that.
Let's get into this intro.
Two kids from Queens, cut from a different cloth. Now joining forces, helping you to elevate your personal brand. Yeah, I'm talking about Nicky and Moose, bringing you a never before seen perspective into the mindset, the mentality, the behaviors, the driving force, but more importantly, the stories behind the people and brands that you know and love the most.
And of course, this episode is powered by Ecamm Live, the #1 all-in-one streaming platform that not only allows you to stream on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, all these social media platforms, but also from a pre-recorded side, just like this podcast, you could do voice isolation, video isolation, text, transitions, everything to produce an amazing show, training, meeting, you name it, it could do it. And we're giving away 14 days for free. If you just go to www.nickyandmoose.com/ecamm, that's ECAMM, and get that 14 days on us.
Hello.
Moose, how are we feeling?
Man, I'm feeling pretty good. I had a good day. Take two on this. I'm just making sure we clear on this one, but no, I'm just joking. We just redid this for the second time, much better than the horror story we did last time because I caught that my audio wasn't recording 2 minutes in, so I was like, all right, we're good now. But good day, man. Spent some time actually playing baseball today, which was fun because I haven't played baseball in a long time. But I think today I realized it was more of I want to say like a mature version of dealing with something that didn't work out for you. You know, like when you had dreams, especially for athletes, I think athletes feel this a lot more, whereas like you had dreams of playing professionally. And so you acknowledge the reality of not having that thing work out for you. But a part of you was like, nah, just whatever, man. Like, I don't like the game. That's why it didn't work out. So today I was like, man, you know what? I'm just going to go out and have a good time. So yeah, that put me in good spirits and kind of reignited a lot of lessons, or I saw how that process can work in business as well. So I'm kind of excited to like approach the recording today, thinking about it through that perspective. So yeah, that was cool.
So you're just taking over all your past situations. You just facing, you went to Egypt, playing baseball. So what's next? So there's a pattern. There's a pattern here in this quarter. I don't know if this is the quarter of the past. You know what I mean? Like making everything right, smiling again about it, being a part of your life again. Like, what are we doing?
Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, honestly, this one happened by accident. I think Egypt was a lot more intentional, but there was a big lesson that I took from Egypt that I think will actually be applicable in this episode when we talk about the social media part. And maybe that's what is igniting this going to the past. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think what else could I bring back. These are definitely top two. Egypt and baseball have to be top two. Yeah, let me not say that next one. That would have got me in trouble. Let me just stop. I'm gonna stop early before I get myself in trouble. 2 minutes or 5 minutes into a
Hey, look. Go to Threads and guess what other past stuff that Moose needs to take care of. I'm interested. Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, let's find out. Just mention us on Threads. That should be fun.
Facts.
For me, most of y'all knew this was coming. I think I've been in denial, but whatever. So, the Drake concert, right?
Well, that's right. We need an update.
The Drake concert is coming. So, am I going to sell or am I going? Do I have the drum roll? Drum roll, please. Yeah, I'm going. Okay. Yeah, I'm going. Yeah. So this is what happened. I waited for the first show and I was like, all right, bet. It's time. People are going to be like seeing the footage and everything like that. And we're like, oh, we're good. Right?
Yeah.
Then I saw the hologram and the hologram passed the notebook to Drake. And then I saw on Montreal, J. Cole come out. And I was like, tough. Let me book this. Let me book this flight right now. Let me not even play. The good thing is that Hove, aka Jay-Z, aka Sean Carter, actually has a huge display in the Brooklyn Library, right? Huge, like lyrics is wrapped around the whole building. They just made it into pretty much a whole tribute to Jay-Z. Fire. So now, it opened up on the 14th, I believe. And I thought it was only going to be for one day. I was like, yo, they have a lot of money to just show this for a day, right? But found out that it's open in Brooklyn till August 12th. So the day after Drake, I'm going over there. I already told my mom, you want to come? She's like, yeah. So me and my mom are going to the Brooklyn Library to see the Book of HOV. And I'm very excited. If y'all go to thebookofhov.com, it's like narrated by Angie Martinez. The experience is super dope just from an interactive website situation. This is not a brand lesson, but should be. But yeah, go check that out. That's the vibe. So yes, I'll be going to see Drake and Hov. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be amazing. So
it's a good setup.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's a good setup.
I like this. I like this for me. I don't know. That's just me. But anyways, let's get into this episode. So, let's do the what's poppin' section, right? So, this segment is sponsored by Deeper Than the Brand, the #1 content branding community that shows you how to confidently and authentically build a brand, grow social media presence, and build digital wealth. Go to deeperthanthebrand.com for more information. Now, Claude 2, who Anthropic, look at me, okay, big word, Anthropic created, is said to be a huge competitor to ChatGPT. Now, ChatGPT, the only thing else that came out was Google Bard, however you pronounce that thing, right? But it really hasn't stand against ChatGPT. Now, this past week, ChatGPT actually released Code Interpreter for its ChatGPT Plus members. What Code Interpreter does is it takes any type of data you want to give it. CSV files, pictures, any type of reports, and it will analyze it. It can create graphs. It can create GIFs, video games. What it could do is pretty dope. But with Claude 2, you could do all of that for free. Okay? So it came out, and the big differences that they're saying is, one, code interpreter is free. Two, the input that you could put. So 75,000 words Claude 2 can take up to, where I think that is 3 times more than what ChatGPT can do. Now, there isn't web browsing in Claude 2, but it has way more updated information. It's all the way up to 2023, where ChatGPT is 2021. So a lot of people are leaning towards Claude 2, which is CLAUDE.ai, for you to try it out. It's a web version. You can try it out for free. It's just like chatting with anything else. But this is something, competition is good. And the fact that it's done by 3 ex-employees from OpenAI, I find that very interesting. Mm-hmm. They didn't really talk about that too crazy, but the fact that one of the biggest, OpenAI is what made ChatGPT, and that 3 employees is what's creating the competition, that's very interesting. So if y'all want to check out Claude 2, that's Claude.ai. I bet you Isaiah will put it on the screen for our video experience people. But I played with it for a little bit. It's pretty dope. Have you heard of it yet?
No, but I was going to say, the last time members left a big tech company like Google and started their own company, Instagram came, WhatsApp came. So you never know. This could be something big. So, yeah.
Well, there you go. Moose, what you got?
And, well, stepping into the business side, I wanted to cover Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime Day, the annual sales event for Amazon was just on July 11th and 12th, and they hosted their largest sales day in company history. So the 2-day event brought in $12.7 billion in revenue for the company, which is bananas, by the way. I had to kind of sit for a moment and think about, dang, first off, us Americans spend a lot of money. And the fact that a company can make $12.7 billion in 2 days is probably the reason why a lot of us are in entrepreneurship. Not all of us, but it's like, man, that's pretty impressive. But the real thing I really wanted to talk about was, what can we learn from that as individual brands and businesses? And what can we take from Amazon's marketing strategy that we can apply into our own brand to really capture that dedication and that almost consistency of sales, and more specifically revenue, year in and year out? Because when you look back on last year's number, there was only a 6% decrease from what they posted this year. So they're continuing to get better. Now, here's what I found to be really interesting, right? Number one, they have this as an annual event. It happens once a year. Sometimes it happens twice a year. But although it's something that is consistent, they don't always fully disclose what you can expect from it. Sometimes there is some pre-sale or some maybe inside look into what the deals are going to look like, and they allow people to start buying early. Other times they don't do that. They didn't do that this time or this year, for example. Last year they had 2 events. They had one in June or July and one in October. This year, it's not clear as to what will happen. So number one, I think it's an indicator for us to, yes, make sure that your audience or your customers can start to expect something from you, a big annual event, but do not fully disclose the details of it as you get closer, right? You want to leave some room for anticipation. The second thing is they continue to innovate with times. So this year, they actually partnered with a lot of creators, more specifically on TikTok, and they created a game that was a live game called Prime Night. So they gamified their experience to bring attention to the products and the deals that they were selling. They used public figures or public influencers that can bring their audiences, right, to the deal, and they just made it fun. And what they were doing was they were simply having the audience contribute to the sales process, or more specifically, what the sale amount was going to be, right? And so that's another way that you can see, okay, this company is doing large numbers, but not just because they're the biggest retailer in the world. Yes, there's a lot of credit that goes to that, but you also have to look at some of the marketing tactics. So I wanted to bring that to the episode because it's a good reminder for us to say, all right, we can be amazed and even contribute to some of these big corporations, but we can also learn from their marketing tactics and strategies and look to duplicate that into our brand and our experiences, even if at a smaller scale. So definitely two things that I say, hey, tap into those and let us know, did you shop or did you spend big on Prime Day? I'm not gonna lie, we bought a couple of things at the house. We was like, hey, might as well do some early gift shopping. And so we went in a little bit on Prime Day on this household.
Facts. I got my mom stuff. I ain't get me nothing. I don't want nothing. I don't want nothing.
Same, honestly. Same. Yeah, we bought early gifts. Like, hey, take advantage of it now.
Oh, the deals were that good?
Maybe they were.
I was like, I'm waiting for Black Friday.
I gotta be careful.
Black Friday. Are you talking early gifts like for Christmas gifts?
Well, no, it was for the birthday, but.
Oh, praise God. I was like, did you really think that far ahead?
No. Birthday. Birthday is August. And so it was, it's good timing.
Okay.
About a couple weeks, month away. Yeah.
I like that. All right. Let's talk about the creator of the week. Now, this week we are talking about it's Ricky P. Okay. The reason why I know about the Book of HOV, the reason why some of the content that we've gotten from for Nicky and Moose is actually from Ricky P. And I don't know how he gets all this information about the latest hip hop stuff, from tour dates being announced before it's even announced to the public, exclusive videos and pictures from your favorite artists, great interviews. He's like the insider of the insider. Him and I believe Elliot Wilson is the two accounts that I follow that like tells me everything about hip hop, and it's so dope. So real quick acknowledgement and kudos and flowers to Ricky P. You're dope. We follow each other. You're amazing. Continue to do what you do because, yeah, I need the information. I don't know about everybody else. I can't speak for everybody else, but yeah, we need the information. Do you follow Ricky?
I was hoping you were gonna pull together a video or something that I could have.
I got an idea for that.
I can't even do a drum roll on this one. This one is just, yeah. I'm gonna be watching this episode, y'all, and so I can get to know Ricky.
Oh man, it's all good. I won again. It's all good, but let's get into this blueprint. This comes from a creator called Dan Koe, Koe. Okay, he has a YouTube channel called Dan Koe Talks, right? And he normally talks about, philosophy, productivity, business, future of work. And he dropped this video that I was like, yo, this is extremely good. We got to break this all the way down. There's two ways that we're talking about this. One from the social media way and growing your brand and understanding the importance of being a personal brand, but then also the way of a one-person business. Now, the first one we're talking about is social media, right? So I'm gonna let you hear a clip and then we're gonna break this down.
I like to think of social media as a public note-taking system where you jot down what you are learning and how it applies to your life, your thoughts and opinions on your skills and interests, and the lessons you are learning throughout the story of life. Social media is the new society, then personal brands are the people of that society. And no, this is not limited to those that have a business. Like even you have a social media account, you're just not contributing, right? You're not a part of the economy, so to say. The new school system in the creator society, aka passionate creators that go and research the topics that they love and distribute the lessons from their own lens to the people that resonate with that lens. New school system is internet content and courses.
What is your take?
Yeah, no, I like the ability to just simplify this big giant thing that is social media into just a public note-taking space, right? Because it makes it so authentic, which is the one thing that everyone is attempting to master on social. And when you think about it through that lens, it becomes a very simple work of art where it's like, hey, how can I be involved in something or the things that I am a part of? How can I simply just share my thoughts and my learnings from those things on a public platform so that others can possibly learn and take part of that experience as well? So I think for starters, that's a very simplified way to think of social. Now, the idea behind society and personal brands being the people within that society, that is a very philosophical kind of like, you know what I'm saying, thought process to say, yo, you can control almost what happens in the world when you think about your personal brand through that lens. So there's a lot of power in that. And I don't know that a lot of people will probably think about it that way, but for me at first glance, I'm just like, yo, I never thought about it that way. That's pretty deep.
There's a few ways I want to actually break this down, right? One, let's go with the simple look of social media, right? Literally, I'm just documenting my thoughts, my perspectives, and that's it, right? It's not, I always say social media is not so deep. And how he just simply explained that proves that. Where if you watch any of his videos, it's really just him talking. And then there's maybe a black screen with white lettering. But for the most part, it's just him talking his thoughts out, his perspectives out, right? His reactions to certain things. Just like kind of how we're doing here is just our reactions and our perspectives on things, and people will listen. I think what holds people back is they don't believe that their perspectives and their thoughts are good enough for people to even pay attention to. Breaking it down from social media is such this grand thing of, okay, all this media things that I have to create, videos, all, pictures, all this great stuff, to, let's just document it and put it out there, put your perspective on it. I did a really good example where I was researching for this podcast, and I literally just took a screenshot of one of the interviews that I was looking at, broke down the takeaways, put it up there, and people were like, "Oh, this is fire!" And I'm like, "This is the system of creating content. Your research is content. Your perspective is content. Your thoughts are content. Your experiences are content." Simplifying social media like that is pretty dope. The bar that I loved so much was like, yo, you're part of the society. You're a personal brand. You're just not contributing. You're contributing by consuming. That's important in the creator economy. But at the same time, you have a lot of power, and all you have to do is contribute to truly be a part of this creator society, to really, truly get in line and get in place to be part of the creator economy. And the thing that he said at the end, like low-key breaking down into the monetization side, where it was like, how we learn now, the new school is internet content and courses. This is very true, because self-taught people, I'm not even going to say entrepreneurs, I'm just going to self-taught people have learned from YouTube University, have learned from blogs, have learned from content. Shout out to TikTok. I've learned a whole lot of AI stuff because of TikTok. And then courses. Creators who are passionate and have done their research and is now teaching is now put into a course that people are learning from. I can break this down into a few things. One, are we taking advantage of everything? I know we've talking about, let's say, information overload. There's so much there. Absolutely. But with each part, are we taking advantage? Are we learning from the internet? Are we learning from content? And are we investing in ourselves and getting into the courses? He said, you have to invest in yourself, because if you're expecting to jump into this creator economy, how are you expecting anybody to pay for anything you do if you've never paid for a course, if you've never paid to get into a newsletter, paid to get merch, anything that's part of the creator economy? How can we expect to be a part of that and contribute if we've never contributed to ourselves? For you, right? What is one of the main ways that you learn from out of those three? And what do you feel that you need to lean more into?
Yeah, the YouTube is probably my biggest area of education, hands down. There's a lot of different channels that I go to, everything from Harvard Labs to, there's a lot of videos, and I try not to just watch the channels that I subscribe to. I enjoy just the organic feed or what shows up on my feed. And I watch that as well, just so I can get exposed to different things. That's something that I am big on. I try not to just rely on the same channels over and over and over again, because I think that that's where people lose some of their own style and authenticity. Because when you watch the same thing over and over, by the way, this doesn't apply to this podcast. Make sure you keep watching and listening to this podcast over and over again. No, I'm only joking, but
don't listen to what I say, okay? Don't
listen to that for this example or for this show. But no, I just try to be mindful, because you can watch something over and over and you almost become, you repeat, you take in and you just put right back out. You almost regurgitate, and I don't want to do that. So I'm selective with what I watch, but I spend a lot of time on YouTube. The area I certainly need to invest more into is courses, I have to admit. I just thought about it. I invested into Professor G's course, his university, really, last year. And I realized I took very little advantage of that. Professor G, by the way, and we covered him once on the podcast here, or used some of his content on the podcast. He's the NYU business professor or business and marketing professor, has a very unique style of presenting in his videos or whatnot, but he shares some great information. And I made the investment and I didn't take advantage of it. And so I have to say courses is an area I need to really level up on.
I agree with that. How simple he broke down what personal brands are. We're just passionate creators, right? Whatever we are branding, right? Whatever we're trying to be known for, we're just very passionate about that. Every personal brand really is a low-key geek about what they talk about, what they do, their experience, that whole nine, right? There's this creator, what's his name? It's like Chubby Diaries. I think we covered him. Yeah, Chubby Diaries. Jeff, right? And he is now on like National Geographic's showing his traveling as a big dude, doing these different adventures, whitewater rafting, what's the air balloon thing? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. The hot air balloon. He's doing all these crazy things, and his brand is about traveling as a big dude. He's passionate about that, right? And now he has a show about that. When we look at and don't think of personal, because instantly when we're thinking personal brands, we're going to think of influencers, and we're looking at the Kardashian. Like, chill. Like, that can't be the first people that you think about when you think of personal brands. Somebody that we're going to talk about later, and we've talked about before, the Kai Cenat dude, right? Where he was passionate about streaming. He's made a whole brand about being a streamer. When we are getting into that role of, okay, it's time to brand myself. It's time to really take this serious. Like, what are we passionate about? What do we love? What do we geek about? What are we up? And it's not so hard for us because we do this anyways. Like, I research all day. That's my thing. Like, I love looking at content stuff, branding stuff, like breaking it down and figuring it out. That's what I do. And that's what this is. Like, it's not that deep. I'm just saying. Not that deep.
Yeah, those are the areas to be most consistent too. It's like whatever you're passionate about, you're going to be most consistent about it, or consistent in those areas because it's something you enjoy. You don't have to force yourself to talk about something that you really don't want to talk about to begin with. So yeah, there's a ease of use that comes from that. It's just like, you don't have to worry about consistency when it's something that you really, really love to do as well.
That's a fact. Now let's talk about how to monetize a personal brand in the Dan Coe way, right? There's like three ways that he breaks down. One, learn a skill and sell a skill, right? The second one is this value creator, right? And for my video experience, you can see it, but I'm gonna break it down for our audio people, where it goes from interest to perspective to creation to distribution. So the interest, this is where we're researching, we're learning, we're note-taking, to where the perspective, this is where the critical thinking, the open-mindedness, the self-improvement. Then we go into the value creation. Of course, that's the marketing and sales, the writing and thinking, the education and teaching, right? To then distribution, social media, digital tools, leverage and building, right? Something that he said was, research your genuine interests, become an expert in that domain, and share the value with the world. Money will come. Learn a skill, share a skill, teach a skill, value creator, and then there's both. Moose, what way have you leaned in just hearing those options?
Learn a skill is what I was reminded of most recently, because it's the easiest way to continue to innovate yourself. Mm-hmm. Right. And we really pride ourselves on being lifelong learners. Like that's something that we don't just say. It's really the only way to keep the podcast alive. That's one. And I think even in each of our own individual endeavors, that's a necessary ingredient for growth. Some of the other areas might generate more revenue. I still rely on that. I look at it almost as the fundamentals that keep you grounded. Just keep learning. It's funny, we were out to lunch with a friend today who recently bought a business, and he was just saying how I just try to pretend like I'm the dumbest person in the room at all times. Now, I know I've heard that before, like on other interviews, but it was different hearing it from him because he was really trying to emphasize, I just want to learn. And so I don't pride myself. There's no ego involved in it. I prioritize learning. And that's an important ingredient, man. It's like, if you don't learn, you can't distribute or really share anything new. And you can tell. I don't know if you've ever followed a creator who maybe in the beginning, you were absolutely in love with what they were saying. And then over time, you find like their stuff gets a little stale, or you can almost predict what they're going to say. It becomes repetitive in a sense. And so, not to be judgmental of anyone, but that typically can happen due to a lack of learning. So it's just like staying plugged into a source that can stretch your imagination, that can share new information with you. I got to put emphasis on learning because not just for the sake of learning new things. I think from what you learn, you can always improve what you've already created as well. So there, what is it called? Maybe like a second draft, like a 2.0, 3.0 version of something that comes from learning as well.
I've leaned more into the value creator to then go into number 3 of doing both. I liked how talked about, the interest, perspective, creation, and distribution. That's pretty much my whole personal brand, where I'm just learning some things, giving my spin to it, giving it out to the world, and letting it kind of impact everybody, from people who are just starting to people who've been doing this. People are like, that's just how I've always been. Just add value, and the money will come, the opportunities will come, and they have. But I'm also getting into the learn it and then sell it situation, because I do believe that some people just want an essential location and not go through my whole Instagram, not go through my threads and be like, okay, I know you said it, but where is it? Like, give me this. So even with the AI stuff, now we've packaged it up and put it in one location, but still giving me the freedom that it lets me go into that space and still add more. Being the value creator, I do struggle sometimes with the selling the skill, because I'm like, nah, have it all. Have it like I'm just pay attention. But I have to remember that people will pay for access and people will pay for a central location. And that's what they want. It's not even that they'll pay for it. That's what they want. And so I would be doing a disservice if I didn't do that. Going into, the importance of monetizing, he also brought up this model of this, one person business, which I don't believe this takes one person. Okay. He labels it that. I believe it doesn't. Because if we break it down, right, he breaks it down into goals, which is really your brand, problems, which is content, systems, which is the product, and benefits, which is the marketing. You have these components, and this is going to build your one-person business. The brand is, what are you leading people towards? Content, what are the roadblocks they will encounter? Product, how can they solve their problems faster? And then marketing, why should they care about your message? I think that is the basics of any personal brand when we're talking about the learn the skill and sell the skill. It's like, hey, brand it, create the content, here's your product, right? And then let's focus on marketing it. But I would love your perspective on the one man business.
This is the one thing that I took a screenshot of instantly and sent over to you. I was like, yo, this is so good, because, there's the cool thing about, I think, entrepreneurship, there's a lot of things you probably never learn something that is completely out of this world that you're like, wow, I had no clue this even existed. I'm sure it happens from time to time. But I think one of my favorite types of learning is to come across something that you do or have done or do parts of, but to see in a simplified and abbreviated way that helps you to know, oh, this is the best order to do it in. For those of you who are listening to this, make sure that you go and actually tap into the video to see that graphic, because that's such an important breakdown of how to make sense of this complicated thing that you call business and brand, etc., and just see it in a set of 4 questions, right? And the first one that stood out to me is the goals. Right. And I talked about the Egypt trip kind of rekindling something, because I saw almost 7x my normal views during the time that I was in Egypt. And I was posting, you can say they were fun things or different, but not the standard content, but I just saw how much more people were engaged. And it's because I tried to wrap a story around it and tie it to the homecoming, the kind of healing a part of myself that might have been maybe shut down or vacant or muted and put away for so long. I realized from that experience that people want to engage with brands that are going somewhere. And our personal goals in that process is what helps to show the audience, the members, the marketplace, that you are someone who's constantly striving to get to new places. And so the reason why I specifically call introverts out in that process is because it's so easy for us to stay at home, our comfort zone. It's a controlled environment. You can go to the pockets of it that make you feel your best, and you shut out the outside world. But in the process, you forget that you're not doing anything. You're comfortable, but you're becoming stagnant in the process. To constantly put new goals ahead of yourself and bring in, and that's why I also leaned into the learner piece. These are all things that I would hope have done to me and will do the same thing to you, which is ignite that passion to want to go out, explore, do more, set new benchmarks, and show people, hey, here's my next finish line. Here's my next mission. Let me help take you on that journey. So I've noticed that that's the one key ingredient that I can take almost from a business lesson, really specific to the Egypt trip, that I can apply here, is that people want to see you doing things. And simply sitting at home just doesn't cut it.
Okay. I see what you did there. I'm gonna counter that because some people do want to see what you do at home. I will say that from a person who stays home, and my stories are lit whenever I do that because I'm showing them behind the scenes. But at the same time, when I look at this model, it's important. The very first thing, and he said it in part of his video, where it's like, when we think about the goal, right? And he says the goal is like, what do you want out of life? Not what does your whole audience want out of life, because how he looks at it when we're talking about personal brands, your target audience is probably the old you. We look at what do you want out of life, and then what's standing in your way. That's the problem. You're creating content that addresses this problem. This is why when you go on social media, look at it like, yo, is this person talking directly to me? Because you're addressing a legit problem. But the thing about talking about who you were or the old you is that you know language that no one else knows. You know things such as, overthinkers. You know such things like can't lose weight, but you're traveling all the time. You know things that is can't go to sleep because your mind is racing over and over. Like, certain keywords that is like, that'll wake up somebody like, yo, that's me. Why? Because if you went through it, somebody else did. We can go based off some of the stuff that we've learned and everything. It's a different kind of passion and a different kind of work when it's something that we've gone through as well. I look at it more of, how do you monetize the old me? How do we brand the old me? How do we take that and make content into some of the old obstacles, the ups and the downs of that situation? What did I wish that I had when I was going through it? What kind of products, what kind of service can I really benefit if I go back in those days and I'm going through trying to figure out, for instance, in my situation, how do I grow a brand? Like, what would make this faster? What would make this easier? What would take away some of the stress and some of the task away from it? Figuring out how to deliver that message. What best platform is that? Like, is that YouTube? Is that, Instagram? Is that Threads? Is that, what does that look like, right? Meeting your audience where you were. So how did you receive information back then? How were you open to that? And sometimes we get caught up in, well, I want to talk to the world, right? So you're trying to solve everybody's problems. You're trying to meet everybody's goal. You're trying to create a message for everybody. And it's like, nah, why don't we just start with us? Like, why don't we start with the person who I used to be, or maybe even used to be just 2 weeks ago? I created a really dope system that has completely did amazing in my life. Cool. Do that. And then sell that. Now, granted, we, based off pricing, and Moose, you could probably talk about this. It goes, of course, with the experience and kind of credentials. But at a certain point, if you solve something, people want to know how you solve that. People will pay for the solution. People will pay for it to, be seamless, be, stress-free, I could save time or money. Like, people will pay for that situation. So, like, when we get to that part of, all right, I know the problem, I got the solution, now let's talk about the pricing. Like 3 steps that you feel that goes through your mind when thinking about pricing.
Yeah, one of the easiest methods really for pricing in general is just taking the average of what does your solution save the average person or the person who goes through that process, or what does it help them to make from a financial standpoint. And so once you start to figure out the average number of money earned or money saved, once your solution is applied, you can easily start with charging a percentage of that. Because think about it. Is it fair that I charge you $25, but I'm helping you to make $250? Yes. Now, for people who are just getting started, you just want to show that your method works. So you can be confident that it works, but can you continue to prove that at scale? And so step 1 is just figuring out what the average range is from a money saved or money earned standpoint. Prove that at scale, and then you can increase your margins there, because as your influence and credibility grows. So I've always looked at pricing, and I try to simplify that because I think it is the easiest part. It isn't complicated. Now, there are other layers that come into it down the line. If you have a physical product and your overhead is increasing, then of course you have to account for that, because you don't want to say, well, hey, I can sell it for 25, but what if it costs me 24 to make? It's like, okay, well, hold on. Don't do that, right? You want to obviously give yourself a little bit more of a cushion there. But for just for simple starters, I would say, think about that. Hey, what does your solution help people to make? What does it help them to save? And you can scale from there.
I like that. And like, one final lesson from Dan Coe is like, look at his content. His content is so simple, where we may feel, especially when we get to the marketing side of that model, where it's like, okay, we have to have highly produced content and it has to go and be flashy here and the great production and that whole nine. When you look at his content, it's very simple. It's him sitting at the same place, not too many, not even different camera angles, not even a true zoom in. It's a few cuts because he probably messed up and said ums, and that's it. Maybe a black screen with white lettering. Super simple. Sometimes we just have to make sure the messaging is right and strong enough for people to understand and for people to share, and not necessarily all the rest of the fireworks that we may think content may be about. Is the message strong? Do you know who you're talking to? Are you solving a problem? And that's all we really care about. If your words are strong and know how to story tell, oh, it's game over with the marketing side. People are going to look at that and it's like, okay, I get it. You got to brand yourself. I got to create content. I got to have a product. I have with the market, but like, how? You know, what is? What do you mean? And if you go back and you look at that picture, right? And we break it down to where the brand is, what are you leading people towards? Content, what are the roadblocks will they encounter? Product, how can they solve their problems faster? And then marketing, what should they care about their message? So to monetize a brand, that's the formula. It's the formula, people. A fun this or that. Okay? A fun this or that. Now, this segment is sponsored by flightassessment.com. Discover your personal superpower and learn how to use your superpower to become a master communicator, strengthen all your relationships, and develop the self-awareness you need to fulfill your highest potential. Go to flightassessment.com. Now, this or that, the question is, before I even share the clip, is, Moose, do you have a limit of how much you want to grow on social media? Your influence. Do you have a limit? Or is it more like the people love it, let all of them come through?
I've never thought about that. I got to admit, I don't know that I've ever sat and said, I'm going to put a limit on how much I want to grow or will allow growth, from a social and influence standpoint. But the clip that you shared definitely has to make you wonder, because I've heard stories of, and not stories, but you hear what people share and say about what comes with their influence. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's interesting. But the short answer to your question is, I have never thought about it that way. Like, oh yeah, no, I don't want to grow past this point.
So you already hinted at the clip. Let's listen to the clip.
Thing is, like, when you like take one day off of streaming, bro, people like start to go crazy. Like, I've went on vacation and people say like, why are you on vacation? Why are you not streaming? Like, what are you doing?
Is that not a crazy responsibility?
That's crazy, bro.
That's a crazy responsibility.
But it's also, in a way, a blessing. To have so much people like so supportive to the point where they're on some like, yo, I want to see what he's doing at all times. Like, but you just got, it's up to the creator to know how to like control it.
So that was Kai Cenat, for those people who didn't know, the famous Twitch streamer. But it does bring up a question of like, do you want to get that famous that you can't take a day off? That like people are being like, yo, where you at? What are you doing? Like, why are you not doing this? Where's the episode? Like, I know some of my favorite podcasts, if they miss an episode, I'm like, yo, whoa, what's happening? What are we doing? I don't want to hear best of. I don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I get it. Like, you need a vacation. I get it. Like, it's the holidays, but I don't want to hear that. I don't give me. So it made me think, and this is why I wanted to bring it up to the podcast of like, have you ever thought about, when I sit down, like, I don't know if I want to get 4 million people, because then I have to so-called perform all the time for these people. Now, granted, it could be different because we do have brands that are, they kind of leaned off of the consistency. They show up, and when they show up, it's appreciated. Shout out to Beyonce, shout out to J. Cole, things like that, where it's not an everyday thing, but you still kind of feel their presence. To where Kai Cenat, he's a streamer, and the biggest event that he did was that 30-day Twitch-thon, right? Where he literally, no other Twitch streamer did this, where 24/7 he was streaming for 30 days. Like sleeping, shower, like he had to take a shower with boxers. Like every day the cameras were on. And so that now, after that, if he's off a day, they're like, yo, you're not allowed. We feel so like we are your friends, like we roommates, that I'm getting worried. I want to make sure you're good. And that's why he said it was a gift or curse. For me, I don't know if I want to, like, if God places that on me, like, you gonna get that famous, I'm not gonna debate with him. I mean, like, that's smart, but I like my low-key life for, like, I love the impact that I have. I love the people I am helping, and I do hope that continues to grow. But like, I can't take a day off. Like, I can't I can't go on vacation.
That's tough.
I don't know.
You know, it has a lot to do with how you really position your brand or how you position access within your brand. You know, I think one of the reasons why I probably never thought about it is because I don't think about myself as being the main access point to be sold within a business. You know, I always think about there's some level or a different level of solution that I want to interact or exchange with. Now, I might be the liaison that shows up with that solution or presents alongside that solution. And so you never feel so dependent on me. We're like, what are you doing? And why are you not here? And so I think that's probably why I never thought about capping the growth, because on the flip side of it, when you do have that many people who are wondering what you're doing at all times, from a business standpoint, that's what you want, right? You want people in constant anticipation of your next move and your current happenings and all that good stuff. You know, I think about how paparazzi wants to keep up with, you know, the big Elon Musk and the Jay-Z's. They do anything. They want to know what they're doing. And so I see some good to that. But yeah, to the point that you cannot, I think especially when it starts to disturb your peace while you are with family in a public setting, I think that's when it gets bad. Like, I saw a video of Messi. You know, Messi, he's now playing with a soccer club in Miami. And he's with his kids, 2 kids and his wife, in Publix, just grocery shopping. Mm-hmm. And someone recorded him, and it's so awkward because you could tell he knows that the camera's on, but he has to still be dad to his children. Yeah. I was like, damn, that's gotta suck. Like, I mean, I'm sure he's not complaining, making like I think $1 billion plus right now, but that's gotta be a little bit of, for me at least, I'm like, yeah, I don't want it to interfere, at least with the family dynamic.
Yeah, you know, it's a good series to watch about that whole paparazzi situation, the Meghan and Harry Netflix thing. Mm-hmm. How serious paparazzi really is over there and how they treat them. They're just like normal people, right? And I believe everybody is normal, right? Like, I don't care, like, your status, how you were born into, whatever, but like the obsessiveness of paparazzi when it came to them and just that royal family. Oh, it's makes you want to be like, I'm good on this.
It's disturbing. It can be disturbing.
Yeah. So, like, for me, if God wants me to have that, I'm okay. But let's just say I'm going to just appreciate my life right now. I'm just going to appreciate my life right now. So, yeah. Listen, people, follow us everywhere at Nicky and Moose, okay? Threads, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, wherever your favorite social media platform is, follow us there, especially Threads, you know what I mean? Because we active over there. And Creator Ave, our audio experience every Friday, 6 a.m. every Friday. Really, really, really dope. After show, we got a lot to talk about. But Moose, final words.
Yeah, speaking of Threads, I shared this on Threads today, and I said that the greatest form of mastery is self-correction. Now, the thing behind that statement is that what goes into that process is thousands of hours of dedication towards your craft so that you can understand how to do it right, so much so that if it forever or at any moment it goes wrong, you know how to correct it. And so the beauty of that is, can you stay disciplined and dedicated to one thing to learn the intricate details of how to make it that perfectly right? I know the word perfectly is whatever, but yeah, the greatest form of mastery is self-correction.